Happy September. I can't believe that we're in the Burr months already. I just think the end of the year is in 2 weekends. Let's talk about the astrology of September. I'm gonna share my screen with you. Here we go. All right, I just want to make sure that I hit record because there, yep, I did. Thank God. I've had the worst. I have failed to hit press record so many times over the last couple months. So we are let's start with the second week of September. We just had a full moon total eclipse yesterday. So let's go back one day. So you can see the sun is here 15 Virgo, and the moon is opposite in Pisces. So you should be able to pull up your chart, look and see what houses the sun and the moon were sitting in. This particular chart has it in the seventh and first house. That that axis, whatever houses this particular eclipse took place in, um, just gives you clues about the area of your life that this set of eclipses is most likely to affect. So just very quickly, very broad generalization of the houses. First house is your physicality, your body, your identity, like the character, the vessel that you operate in this world. Second house then is your assets, your finances, your spending and saving habits, your possessions, the things that you have or own. Third house is your connections. It is your community. It is people in your immediate environment. That could be your neighbors, your community in your town. It could be your siblings also, like that kind of proximity, that closeness. It's kind of more into the finer details of the close. Fourth house is home, mother, emotional baseline, your ancestors, your lineage, kind of like the roots of your existence. Fifth house is fun, games, entertainment, hobbies, romance, like that kind of fun, that self-expression. It's connected to your creations. So creative self-expression. That can also be your child, your children, your inner child, that end. That's why it's so closely connected to entertainment, hobbies, games, fun stuff. Seventh house then is your relationships, more significant relationships. So that would be business partnerships, it would be marriage type relationships. Some more like ancient astrologers had connected this house with death as well, just because that's the where the sun sets. So there are some connections with death in that house, and that it doesn't always mean literal. That could be like the death of one version of yourself, or just that kind of like metaphorical kind of a death. Then the eighth house is also associated with death. That one is like debts, death, taxes, loans, things that are borrowed, things that you share, shared resources. Ninth house is belief systems. It is your what you believe in, what you have faith in, what you are learning about, like bigger picture concepts. If third house is your immediate environment, the ninth house is kind of the bigger picture, bigger scope. 10th house is your career, your reputation, the role that you play in the world. 11th house is your friends, your social circle, your networks, your affiliations, the groups of people that you like change the future with. And then the 12th house is the last house. It is related to suffering, things that are hidden from you and the public, things that are a little bit more subconscious, things that are maybe have to do with suffering and mental health. And it's kind of a harder house to talk about. But all of them are important. All of them, we should not be scared of any of them. So go find where this full moon, the houses that it took place in your chart. And if you want to talk about that or you have questions about that, let me know. You can also do a little Google search. What does the first house mean? What does the second house mean in astrology? Um, so eclipse season is there's a lot of energy. Things I imagine like all the volume knobs are just turned up a little bit. Um, some astrologers will say like it's not a good time for manifesting. It's not a good time for things of that nature because the energy is just so chaotic. You could ask for something and the universe is cheeky and like gives you the thing you're asking for, but in a very different way, you know? So you just have to do what feels appropriate to you. Some astrologers really just they won't even put their crystals out under the full moon. They won't put like water out to charge it because it's just chaotic. So you do what feels right to you. If you feel powerful, Pisces Virgo is a very powerful manifesting. Pisces is the dream and like the ideal and imagination. And then Virgo is practically putting things in place to get there. So it is a good manifesting. You can dream something up and then make it become real in reality, tangibly. So just pay attention to what you feel. That's the only thing that you can do. If you drop in and notice that your body does feel chaotic, if it does feel like just unpredictable, then maybe it's a better time to focus on like grounding, just getting into your body. We don't need to always be like manifesting. So look at that, look at your chart, see where that affected, where that landed for you. For the rest of this week, like today, right now, we have the moon in Aries. So it's going to be waning from 15 Pisces all the way around to a new moon in Virgo. We have two Virgo new moons this month, which just is special. It doesn't always happen that way. So lots of new energy this month. The new moon that already happened in Virgo took place at 0 degrees of Virgo. So that's a very new, fresh kind of energy. Celestial Curiosities, we have an episode about degrees and critical degrees, and 0 is considered a critical degree because it's brand new. I like to think of it as like walking through a threshold into a room for the first time. Everything in that room is unfamiliar, all the placements, like it's fully new. So that's kind of what that last new moon, that's what it was like. It was fully new. It was 0 degrees. That's kind of infantile. It's kind of beginner. So over this week specifically and next week we'll have this moon waning. Waning is when we release. It's when it gets darker outside. Our focus moves from the external more to the internal. As the moon wanes through Aries, which will be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week, ways that I'm going to celebrate that energy. Aries rules the head and the eyes. So as much as I can, especially like I always do this, but especially when the moon is in Aries, I like to get out for sunrise and sunset. I don't wear glasses. I don't wear sunglasses. I take my contacts out. I really just want my naked eyes to get the sunlight. So that's one way that you could work with a waning moon in Aries. I also have plans to give myself a scalp scrub at some point on one of these days, just because Aries rules the head, and I want to bring some intentionality to my head. I want to, just bring blood up to my head, basically. And we can do that with a nice 5 to 10 minute scalp scrub. And you don't need anything fancy. I've got hat hair, but really just circling around. And honestly, it feels so great. So I hope that you'll consider doing that as well. Another thing, just movement. When the moon is in a fire sign, moving your body, doing something physical can help to release emotional energy. So find one of those things that sounds really good to you and go from there. On Thursday, the 11th, the moon will be still waning. It will be in Taurus. And that is an earthy moon. So that gives our emotional body just a little bit more stability, a little bit more patience. We're not as emotionally impulsive when the moon is in an earth sign. So I think that let's see, it's Thursday and Friday, might even be a little bit on Thursday and Friday this week. Taurus rules the neck and the vocal cords. So I'm going to use that Taurus moon to give my neck some love. Just do maybe when I wake up in the morning, I'll do some just gentle neck stretches, maybe in the shower when that hot water's like relaxing my muscles in my neck. That's one way that you can work with it. And then Taurus is also, it's earthy. So tangible things are going to be more soothing than like a conversation or a concept. So using your senses to help your body settle in and your brain and body settle together. So that could be intentionally picking out your favorite blanket for the end of the day. That could be aromatherapy, your favorite smell, your favorite textures, all of just any way that you can engage with your senses, I think will feel good to your emotional body on Thursday and Friday this week. And then when we get to Saturday, Saturday is the 13th. We have, I just think this is cute. Friday and Saturday, Mercury and the Sun are going to be, they're the same degree. You can see they're both 21 Virgo. That is a conjunction that brings our mental body, all like thoughts, communication, learning, all the things that kind of happen between our ears. It's going to be very close to our personality, to our expression of who we are. And then both of these, the Sun and Mercury, have a sextile relationship with Jupiter. And that's very supportive. It's so supportive, in fact, that like you might not even notice it. I feel like things that are not supportive are easier to notice because it's uncomfortable. We feel tension, we feel conflict, we feel discomfort. And it's like, oh, I have to do something about this. That's not going to be here. This is supportive. So it's just a little bit easier. It's a little bit easier to communicate. I know I've said before, sometimes when Mercury and the Sun are conjunct, that makes me feel like my mind is it's going too fast. There is too much going on and I can't focus on one particular thing. So it can show up that way. It can also make it easier to express your thoughts, your ideas. It can make it easier to connect with people using your words and your language, whether that is written or verbally communicated out loud. Just an increase in mind stuff, I guess. What I thought of when I saw all of that is if you were a megaphone, what message would you broadcast? And just kind of think about that. And then also, what message would be the most helpful thing that you could broadcast? And just kind of think about that. Are you broadcasting those things or not? It's okay if you're not, but just think about it. Just think about it. If that's not a message you want to broadcast, then maybe there's a way you could communicate that wouldn't send that message out to the world. I think also it's okay. So we have a lot of Mercury going on. We have the Mercury with the Sun. Mercury rules Virgo. And then we have the third quarter moon. This is on Sunday. We have the third quarter moon, so it's going to be half bright, half dark at 3:33 a.m. in the sign of Gemini, which is the third sign of the zodiac. So that is just, it's so cute. There's a bunch of threes, there's a bunch of Gemini energy, lots of Mercury going on this weekend. So use that to communicate with people, use that to let yourself be seen, use that to have a conversation that you've been putting off, use that to talk to yourself, reflect to yourself. Like it doesn't have to be, you don't have to involve other people in it if you don't want to. But I think there's something about that this weekend. Mercury being in the sign that it rules, Virgo, conjunct the Sun. Then on Sunday it moves into Gemini. Wait a second. Yes. Yeah. The moon is in Gemini. I got all twisted up there. So just lots of Gemini energy, lots of like three energy with the 333, third quarter moon, third sign of the zodiac. What are the odds? What are the odds? We'll just have to see how that, if anything, three related pops up for you. So let's go to the next week. This is Monday the 15th. We've got a waning Cancer moon. So the moon's in Cancer on Monday the 15th. The moon is at home in Cancer. It's ruled by Cancer, or the moon rules Cancer. So our emotional body is just a little bit closer to the surface when the moon is in a water sign. Still waning, so still releasing, still shedding. When the moon is in a water sign on a waning moon, it's especially beneficial to schedule some alone time, schedule some time where you can let your social battery recharge. Spend some time by water, listening to water, walking by water, like choose to be with it instead of having a podcast or music in your ears, and just see what wisdom comes up from within you, when you're not distracted by external stimulus. On that day, the 15th, the Venus is also in a relationship with Mars. You can see Venus is 25 Leo, Mars is 25 Libra. That is supportive. Again, it's a little bit harder to really notice the supportive aspects because they're not uncomfortable. So this is just when there's a balance. We've got balance in our favor between our feminine side, which is the side that receives, it's the side that attracts, it's the side that desires, and it's like lovey-dovey and warm. And then the counterpart to that would be Mars, which is how you pursue what you desire. It's the more masculine energy. It's how you fight. It's how you assert yourself. It's how you stand up for yourself. It's how you pursue your desires. So when those two planets are speaking to each other harmoniously, when there's an ease between them, we're a little bit more balanced with our receptivity versus our pursuit, I guess. So it could just be useful just Monday the 15th around the beginning of the week to pay attention and just be curious. Are you receiving? Is it hard for you to receive? A lot of people have that problem. My mom called, so I had to pause to answer her call. Let's get back to business. So, Tuesday, the 16th, we still have a waning moon, moon still in Cancer, and we also have Venus in a supportive relationship with Chiron, as well as Mars opposing Chiron. So let's focus on the Mars one because that's probably going to be the one that we notice a little bit more, just because that oppositional energy is like tug of war. It kind of pulls in different directions. Mars is our masculine energy. It's pursuing, fighting, standing up for what we believe in, what motivates you, what lights a fire under your butt. And it is opposite Chiron, which is the wounded healer. So I don't know if you know the story of Chiron. I feel like I've said it before. We have it on our podcast, Celestial Curiosities. In short, Chiron was born and his parents were like, no, we don't want a monster. So they put him on an island by himself where he grew up isolated, like in a cave. And he learned all of the sciences because he wanted to be worthy. He wanted to know, like he wanted to be knowledgeable so he could um, teach other people things. He could be a teacher. He could help people. He learned everything. He could help everybody, but he still couldn't really help himself. So that is just, we all have something like that it's really easy to help other people with, but it's harder for us to do that same service unto ourselves. So this particular week on the 16th, our motivation is going to be fighting against our wound, so those two parts of us are more likely to be at odds with each other. That can look lots of different ways, just like all of this stuff. I think the main thing is to be aware that the week of the 15th, notice your motivation, notice what is triggering you, what's getting you moving, what's getting you up, what's getting a fire under your butt. Notice your wound. And if it's hard for you to notice that in yourself, notice all the ways that you show up for people and then ask yourself, are you showing yourself that same grace, that same compassion? And if not, that's good information. You don't have to beat yourself up about it, but now that you know, you can choose something different. On Wednesday, the 17th, we've got a waning moon. It's in Leo. It's going to be in Leo. By the end of the day on the 16th, that again is a fiery emotional body. The movement's going to be really good. That like slow burn, like a slow flow yoga class where It doesn't seem like it would be powerful, but you get into those holds and you start to sweat. That sweat, from any activity, is going to be like a release valve for some of the emotional complexities that are going on within. So any type of movement, any type of sweat. I love using my sauna during the waning moon because it is pretty vigorous for your body, but I don't have to I don't have to do it. I can just sit there and let my heart pump. So that I feel like is a really good waning moon activity. On that day, the 17th, we have Mercury opposite Saturn. So let's see, we have 29 here, 28. Um, we have that oppositional pull again. We just talked about it with Mars and Chiron. Now it's our thought process, our mental body, and our responsibilities, our limitations, our restrictions. This can feel like mental roadblocks. It can feel like it's tough to get the gears turning in your head. It can also be perceptions of your reality that are just limiting you. They might not be true, but just a perception of a situation that you have that might just keep you there. For example, there's a story of fleas. I can't remember where I heard it or like what the study was called. So we might have to dig into that a little bit, but scientists had fleas, jumping fleas in a jar with a lid on it, and the fleas would jump up, hit the lid, and fall back down. Well, they got used to that. So the scientists took the lid off and the fleas would jump up. They could jump out, but because they're used to being blocked, they're used to being like capped off, they don't jump up and out. They just keep the limited perception of the reality at the moment. So don't be like the fleas, or like ask yourself, look around sometimes and see like if you feel a limit, if you feel a roadblock, if you feel obstructed in some way, um, just double check and see if the lid is still on the jar because you might be able to get out. And just your own habits are maybe keeping you in one place. So that was the 17th. On Thursday, the 18th, there's more Mercury activity, lots of Mercury activity. Actually, we have Mercury trining Uranus. We can see that right here. Supportive relationship between the rebel and our mental operations. It's also trining Pluto. So powerful thoughts, power, like mental influence, strong influence with your words, being able to sell snow to a snowman, that kind of a thing, that's strong, just like influential with your thoughts and words. And then Mercury opposing Neptune, lots of oppositions this week. So that could be maybe uh just mental operations are at odds with your imagination or your dreams. Like it might just be with Neptune and Mercury, I always think distortion, like a mental distortion, kind of like we were talking about with Saturn, with that distortion of what is available to you just because of what maybe you're used to. So good week for just thinking about paying attention to what you're thinking. Notice what your thoughts are. Notice if they're true or not. See if you can be like a detective and find all of the various distortions that maybe you've been believing in or subscribing to that you don't need to. And then Mercury also moves into the sign of Libra on this day. So lots of mercurial, lots of, to me, I think maybe that could be like an overactive mind. Maybe our minds are a little bit more keyed up, a little bit more high energy, high voltage next week. So just pay attention. Notice if you're having a tough time sleeping, if you're having a tough time focusing, if it feels like the gears aren't turning in your mind. That's good information to have. It just is, because if you notice that happening, you can say, okay, this is what's going on. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to take a bath. I'm going to take this thing off my schedule because I really don't need to do it and I don't want to do it. So, just be aware, pay attention, see how it feels. When Mercury changes into Libra, it's just a subtle shift in how we communicate, like the tone of conversation. Um, Libra is ruled by Venus, so there's some warmth there, there's some charm, there's some affection. Libra is it's concerned with the other. So maybe maybe more people pleasing, maybe just a heightened awareness of where the other people in our lives are discontent. I think it's important to remember that it's not your responsibility to make sure everyone is content around you. It can be really easy to think that. It can be really easy to fall into a pattern or a habit that where you can justify that time after time after time after time. So just be mindful of that. On Friday, the 19th, we're moving. We've got the waning Virgo moon, getting closer to that new moon again in Virgo. And we've got Venus moving into Virgo. So 2 days, what is that? Friday, Thursday, and Friday, two planets are changing into different signs. Mercury and Venus are closer planets, so it's not, I don't know, they're more like day to day operational versus bigger windows of time. So maybe it's the difference is negligible, but I think it's worth paying attention to just to see what you can feel. When Venus moves into Virgo, that gives clues about what people are attracted to, what people are desiring. You can use that in your social media just to appeal to people's desires. You can use it in gift giving if you have a birthday party or a dinner to attend and you want to get something meaningful, but you just don't really know what to get the person. Venus and Virgo, we're all just going to be a little bit more attracted to order, cleanliness. I think like personal hygiene tools are really great, like jade rollers for your face, little things that enable a daily ritual. So that could be it could be a great number of things. It could be a gua sha, it could be little facial cups, it could be fresh flowers. Virgo's an earth sign, so something tangible from the earth, fresh cut flowers, crystal, just, earthy things. I think that we'll all be a little bit more attracted to that. And then stability. When Venus was in Leo, probably more wanting like spontaneity and like action. This would be more like the love language. What it's like falling out of my brain. Acts of service. This would be a good window of time to just show the people that you love them with acts of service that feel good to you, like they're coming from your heart. Pipsqueak. On Saturday, the 20th, we're getting very close to the new moon, which is Sunday on Saturday. So this next new moon also, we can just extrapolate, will be opposing Saturn. So we have that another opposition, another one. Pipsqueak, please. Where our personality is at odds maybe with our responsibilities or our duties or feelings of obligation and control, maybe expectation. If there are roadblocks that appear, don't stress, just be curious about them. It might be not the right time. The universe might be saving your butt. Like we don't really know. Remember that sometimes when you feel thwarted, like it was actually the biggest blessing. So if you feel Saturn's weight, if you feel restricted, if you feel limited, just be curious about it. Are you in a flee situation? Are you jumping up and not realizing that there's actually more room? Is it like a perception limitation, or is it actual? Is it like bone on bone where there really is no more give? It's, I don't know. I like to think about those things. On Sunday, the 21st, we have that second Virgo new moon partial eclipse. That's so cool. The first one was at 0 degrees, which is the very beginning. It's the creator, it's infantile energy, brand new, kind of raw, kind of infantile. And now this new moon is at the 29th degree, which is the end. It's the master degree. It's gone through all of the necessary steps to get to completion. So that is just, that is so cool. It will be opposing Saturn and Neptune. So we do have that pull, that opposition, that conflict between the dream, the imagination, the ideal, and then order, expectations, responsibility, duty. So that'll just be curious to see how all of that presents. In the 20s, it's September 21st. Now we get into Monday the 22nd, which is the first day of fall. The sun moves into Libra on this day. It is the fall equinox. Yes, the fall equinox, when the day and the night are equal lengths. We have the sun moving signs into Libra, and then we have Mars changing into Scorpio. So big, new, fresh start, clean energy, 20 degrees. Neptune's at 0 degrees. It is going backwards, but just that's cool that we have so many zeros. That looks like a lot of potential to me. A lot of possibility. Mars in Scorpio, this is our motivation. It's what gets us moving. So looking to Scorpio things for motivation can be helpful. Investigating, excavating, digging beneath the surface can be really motivating. If you uncover some things, it might give you a little more gas in your tank to go forward. Mars likes to be in Scorpio because it is one of the rulers of this sign. And Scorpio is known for its intensity. So I think that we can assume that it will be available for us to lean into if you want to. So Tuesday, the 23rd, we've got the sun trining Uranus. Might not stand out a whole lot, but I think that if you feel the urge to do something different, please listen to it. If it's as small as wearing something that's really weird, like a weird combination of patterns, or I don't know, something that's just kind of strange, go for it. If it's taking a different path to get to the same spot, go for it. Talking to someone new, go for it. Getting out of the routine, the sameness, any ruts will give you brilliant flashes of insight. It can help to come up with new solutions to old problems. But if you always keep doing the same thing, that's much less likely to happen. So let your freak flag fly a little bit in the early 20s of September. Pluto will be opposing Neptune. Let's see. No, that is a sextile. The sun is opposing Neptune. We talked about that a little bit. Distortions, getting stuck in the ideal, or putting people up on pedestals. That's a big one. That's just another way to talk about distortion, right? And you put someone up on a pedestal and you think that you forget that they're a human. You forget that like they're just like you. So don't put anyone up on a pedestal. Pluto sextile Neptune makes me think of just powerful dreams, powerful, like being able to manifest through that avenue, through the more less tangible side, I guess, like through prayers and writing things down and having that frequency of what it is that you desire in your body, acting like you already have it. Like the universe will be like, oh, look at her, she's ready, and just poof, give it right on over to you. On Wednesday, the 24th, we will have the moon is waxing. I forgot to say that. It is getting bigger, it's getting brighter. This is the time to build, to assert yourself, to fill up your calendar with networking and getting together and being out and being seen, connecting with people outside of you. Mars squares Pluto Wednesday, the 24th. Mars and Pluto, I feel like, look how pretty that is. I feel like when Mars squares Pluto, we've had violence in the past. I feel like there was, I might be wrong, but I feel like there was a Mars Pluto square in October when there was that initial big issue between Israel and Palestine. Not initial, but you know what I mean. I feel like that energy, this is just kind of a warring energy. And of course it has squared since then. And like it doesn't always happen that way, but just that kind of explosive, powerful, like it has a big effect on a lot of people. So I think that minding, like being aware of what's going on around you, of course, but also minding your own power, your own control, your own influence in your own life. Are you wielding your power for good or for evil, and just kind of let yourself wonder as you observe how you conduct yourself in the world. I think that can just be useful. On Thursday, the 25th, the moon is waxing through Scorpio. That can be emotionally intense as well. That will be close to the Mars Pluto square. So, um, hmm, I think that because the moon is waxing, I tend to think that physicality can be helpful. Burning up some energy, like wearing yourself out a little bit, exerting yourself, can just help when things feel emotionally intense. Um, it's like that releasing the steam on a tea kettle, or else it screams. And like we do that too, but in our own way. Saturday, the 27th, we've got waxing moon through Sagittarius. Later in the day, the moon will go into that happy sign. This is when there will be a break, a break in the intensity from whatever happened with Mars, Pluto, Moon in Scorpio, whatever was going on. This next moon moving through Sagittarius is just lighter. It's a little bit more optimistic, a little bit more hopeful, a little bit more willing to kind of like zoom out and see a bigger picture versus being in the mire of Scorpio. I think if you can laugh, that can be a really good emotional nurturing tool when the moon is moving through Sagittarius, and that will be Sunday as well. Now, getting into the last couple days of the month, Monday the 29th is the first quarter moon. So we're halfway between the new moon and the full moon. This is a good check-in point to say, have I taken any actions that are moving me closer to more towards my goals? And if you have, awesome. Maybe you can do another one. If you haven't, no big deal. But if you want to, try to schedule it in the next week. It's a good check-in point when the moon is half bright and half dark. The moon is in Capricorn, a little bit more emotionally stable, a little, but we can be triggered when other people are not meeting our expectations, or when we are not meeting our own expectations. That can bring a little bit of emotional spice. I think getting into your body is a good way to deal with that. Doing a little scan, seeing where your bones are. Can you relax any muscles that drops your bones? Um, Tuesday the 30th, we're still waxing through Capricorn. And then Wednesday, the 1st, October 1st, holy cow, we've got Mercury squaring Jupiter. So they'll both be at 22 degrees of cardinal sign. So that is initiatory. That is probably like having an idea and wanting to take a step forward, having so much energy and so much care to take a step forward, but maybe you're in analysis paralysis and you don't know which step to take. So it gets like this feeling of frustration, like, I feel like I have momentum and energy to move, but maybe I just don't know what the move is. And that's okay. Mercury at odds with Jupiter can also be like a mind that is too expanded. Like you're taking in too much information. Maybe you're getting mentally constipated, or you're taking in so much information that it's tough to make a decision, or you're just getting overloaded. Like, I don't know how much data we take in as humans. Like, if you look at our brain like a computer, but we're taking in so much. We sound, smells, like stuff that we can't even see. So it could just be like information overload. So try to simplify if you can, maybe make a couple lists, maybe find a way to zero your focus in on one thing at a time. This might be a time where you feel like multitasking. That feels like it would be productive, but maybe this would be the kind of multitasking where all you've done all day is open up 25 tabs and you don't get to close any of them because you just spread yourself out like that. So maybe find a way to zero in on one thing at a time, just for the day. Just see if you can do it. It could be a little activity. Next day, the 2nd, we've got waxing moon in Aquarius. And yeah, that's a little bit, that's not super, it's not a very sensitive kind of energy. It can be a little bit like emotionally aloof. It can be just more mental than emotional, I would say. You'd probably intellectualize your emotions more than you feel them. So it's a good day for to continue with the, focusing on one thing at a time. Maybe make some lists, maybe talk it out, maybe journal it out. Maybe that's how I think that words are probably the solution, though. Any way that you can use words to translate what's going on inside your mind. Friday the 3rd, we are still in Aquarius. Mercury is opposing Chiron. So that wounded healer and our mental body are at odds with each other. We can like over focus on the wound, over focus on our triggers. We can over focus on trying to fix everyone else's problems and just negate our own. I think it's important to remember that you really can't fix anyone else's problems, and they have to want it. They have to want to fix it, and that is really freaking annoying. But it's true. You can't make someone want something. So just pay attention to your thoughts. Saturday and Sunday, the moon will be waxing through Pisces. We are getting closer to a full moon. Again, time is flying so fast. When the moon is in a water sign, alone time is always good. Creative time is always good. Spend some time with your pets, a little extra special pet time. Pisces and pets, I feel like go together like peanut butter and jelly. So if you don't have a pet, that would be a good weekend to go to the animal shelter and like read a book to a kitten or something. Or hang out with kids. Kids are another like just innocent, pure, good kind of energy for a Pisces moon. So that was a lot of information. I hope that you find it useful. If you have any questions, let me know. And I hope you have a beautiful September.